Again, hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you have practiced the previous sessions and yeah, you don't have any doubts. Now we will get into Selenium, right? So we have understood at least the basics of Java. We are not covered the entire basics, but we have covered uh, much enough to start with Selenium, right? The reason why I'm not touching on remaining topics of Java is because when I teach Java, further you might lose interest, and that's the reason we're going to Selenium. We're gonna test the how the Selenium is, and then once you get more confident about working with Selenium, you can come back and then learn more on the Java part, right? So this is the approach that I'm doing that no one outside does, because as a manual tester I found it really difficult to just do Java, right? So yeah, so here I think instead of cleaning this up, I'll create a new class. Okay, I'll go to src again. I'll create a new class. So we are creating more files because we want to manage them in a better way, because I can go ahead and delete these stuff, and then write the same code here. Okay, write the new code here. But again, you can also create a new file and then put all your stuff there. So what I'm going to do, we're going to work with Selenium. So we're going to say Selenium test. So this is just the class name. Yeah, and apart from that, we also need the main method. So I'm just typing main, and then yeah, we are all set. So even now, your program gonna start here. Okay, we'll come to what is testng and all that later. But for now, we are gonna have a main method from where our program gonna start. But instead of writing Java code now, we are going to write Selenium, right? So how this works, right? So guys, so we have used the system.out.println. We have used int a, int b, all these things, right? We could able to use these methods. So this println is actually a method like add. Okay, for add we need two arguments. For println you need just one argument. It can be string or whatever, right? It will try to print it in the console. So these methods are available where we didn't write any code for println. So where these are available? These were available whenever we create, when we create a new project. We chose we want to create a Java project, right? We chose here, right? And this particular thing will add a Java library. Okay, so this particular Java library is having a lot of jar files. If you notice, these jar files means, okay, they are all collection of multiple Java files. Okay, Java files, they are all collection of multiple Java files. So instead of you doing this coding, all the stuff, Java developers have written some code and then given them in the form of zip file. Okay, you can imagine, okay, you are doing some documentation, okay, for some of your friend. Okay, what you do all this documentation. You zip it because you want to reduce the size, and then you send it across in an email, right? The same way the Java developers has done something that they want to share to the world. So what they have done, they have combined all these class files like this into a jar file, and then they have given it to us. So whatever the code we wrote, they have these methods and all created inside this particular jar files. Okay, but now we want to work with Selenium, right? As you all know, what is Selenium? Selenium is basically a library that helps you to automate web application. For example, you can have Orange HRM, right? So this is again a website where you go and test your stuff manually, right? You enter admin password. Okay, if you enter wrong, so I'm entering admin, and for password, instead of admin 123, I'm entering admin. Okay, now if I click on login, I need to validate whether it is throwing error. Okay, so I want to validate whether it is telling invalid credentials. So this kind of testing we do manually, but doing manual testing is again time consuming. So we're going to do the automation, right? The reason why I have explained is because there are many people who join the course who is very new to testing as well. So I have to give a small glimpse about what is testing. So instead of doing it manually, we're going to automate it with the help of a tool called Selenium. And with whatever the project we have, we don't this project doesn't have knowledge about Selenium. So what Selenium developers have done is they have also created a lot of Java class files, and then they have also zipped it in the form of jar, and then they have also put it online. So what do we need to do? if you want to work with Selenium, we need to download that particular jar file and add it to our project. Okay, good. Now we're gonna download that. So let's go here and let's go to Selenium server standalone jar. Okay, so not Maven dependency. We'll come to Maven later, but for now we want the jar. Okay, you can either go here or better you can come here and download it. Okay, so if you notice this is the current version is 4, but we are still using the 3.14 1.59. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so you can just click on download Selenium server standalone jar, this one. Okay, it will start downloading it for you. In my case, I already downloaded that. So if I go to my downloads and so I think it's here somewhere. Oops, where it is. So it is here. Okay, Selenium server standalone. Okay, so yeah, so now we need to add that into our project. Like we have already added Java into our project, so we could use Java methods. Now we're going to add the Selenium jar files into our project so that we could use Selenium methods, right? So to add that, let's go to the file and project structure. So we're going to add that to the project, right? Go to modules here. Okay, in this modules, you have sources, you have paths, and then you have dependencies. Okay, here there is a plus icon. So we're going to add a new library. So you can click on this, and this is a jar file, right? Like I mentioned, it's a jar file. So you can click on jar file. So now it's asking you where this jar file is located. In my case, it's actually located inside downloads, right? I'm going inside downloads, and there is a Selenium server standalone jar. You can just click on OK. Now this gets added. Okay, and you don't have to do anything much now. Yeah, maybe you can check this, or you don't have to check it. Anyway, it will get applied. Apply and OK. Now if you notice, there is one more jar file here. Okay, Selenium server standalone jar. So if you expand this, it has a lot of packages. Okay, it has all these classes. If you notice, this is one of class. Okay, this is one of the class they are using. So they have created a lot of class files and then given to us. Okay, so we could use them. So if you notice, they have all this. So this particular Chrome driver, they have written a lot of code. Okay, now we are not going to write the code, we're just going to use whatever the code or methods they have already created. Okay, any doubts in this so far? Is any doubts?
No.
Okay, so I'll mute everyone. I don't know who is joined as QCOM. Okay, QCOM -BDD. Can you please join with a proper name? Like what is the name that you have given or your email? Okay, it's really confusing for us to understand who we are. Good. And yeah, so now we are going to use these Selenium libraries, right? So first step, while automating a browser, we first need to launch the browser, right? Good. To launch the browser, okay, we need to have we need to write 2 lines of code. Okay, first lines of, I'll tell you. Okay, now you have to write like this. Then it will tell you, hey, you didn't imported this class. Okay, so now I'm gonna click on import class, which means, see, I'm importing something from org.openqa.selenium.webdriver. So this is the class file that these guys have created. Okay, Selenium guys have created. So I'm using one of their class files. Here also this Chrome driver is also getting imported from this particular package, and this is a class, right? Suppose in Java, if you want to use mathematics, okay, we will have math, right? So math dot, okay, see, we want to do 2 power 3. 2 power 3. I want to do this. Okay, so then we are using this from math class. Okay, but here this math class is in Java library, so we don't have to do anything. But here this is from Selenium, so we need to do the import properly. Okay, so once you write this lines of code, you also need something to trigger. Okay, so we have the lines of code. But in order to, you making the control of the browser, you need something called as executable. Okay, executable. Okay, so this executable is something that is between your um, code and your browser. Okay, which actually this executable is responsible for starting your browser. Okay, so we need to download this executable as well. Okay, for that you can again go here, and you need to first check your Chrome version. Okay, you can go to about Chrome, and mine is now 96, so I can just go and search for Chrome driver download 96 version. Right, you can go to this sites. So now we have only for 94, it seems. So they have migrated to a new site. So let's go there. And if you notice, this is the latest stable release, and I'm gonna click on this. So now my operating system is Windows. Again, it doesn't matter whether you're using 32 or 64-bit. Just download this file. Okay, you can basically go to that particular thing, and you can export it. Right. So sound zip extract. Yeah. So now I have this Chrome drive, right? So this Chrome driver is going to help me to launch my browsers. Okay, good. So let's for some some time, let's write one more line of code. I need to tell where this file is located. Okay, guys, don't worry. This is very simple things. Okay, you need to mention the path where this is located. Okay, in my case, it's located here. Okay, and there is also problem, there is a space in between, so this might not really work. So what I do, I'll copy this. Okay, I'll put it into a new folder maybe. Okay, okay, so yes, maybe in documents I'll put it. Okay, so Chrome, so let's say I'll put it as Chrome. Okay, okay, I'll paste it here. Okay, now this is the path, so I'll copy this path, I'll put it here. Okay, and also after this I have Chrome driver .exe. So this is the two lines of code that you need to write if you want to launch your Chrome browser. Okay, so first we have to add Selenium dependency, sorry, the Selenium jar file, and then we need to download the executable which is required to start your browser from the code. So we need to also tell, hey, I'm gonna use Chrome driver, uh, and this particular Chrome driver is present in this particular location. So using this, you launch my Chrome driver. So this is the two lines of code. Again, guys, I'll tell you what is set property, web driver is an interface, why Chrome driver is a class. I'll tell you all this, but for now, all you just need to know is you write these two lines of code, it will launch your browser. Okay, let's see whether it is launching my browser. I can also load some URL. So there is a method. If you type driver and then type get, okay, it is asking you pass me a string. Okay, then you can put whatever the website you want to open. So in my case, I want to open this website. I'll copy it. So you need to put all the strings in double quotes like you already know. So now let's see what it has to do. It has to open the browser and it has to load this URL. Let's try to see whether this is working. So now if you notice, it has launched the browser, guys. Okay, if your Chrome version is 95, you need to download corresponding Chrome driver version. Okay, that's very important. You notice it has actually opened it. Okay, so this also add open the uh, the URL also. If you also notice, the Chrome is being controlled by a automated test software. Okay, if you normally open your browsers, okay, this message won't come. Okay, this message won't come if you normally open a browser. Good. And yeah, so that's all. We have already opened our browser. So we have, did our first step in Selenium. The one thing that we need to remember is, this particular two slashes is only applicable in Windows. Okay. If you run the same lines of code in a Linux or a Mac machine, it won't work, because in Linux or Mac, we only have to write the slashes like this. Okay. So you need to change these double slashes into a single slashes and in the opposite direction. If you write like this, it will work in Windows, it will work in Mac, it will work in Linux, it will work in all the machines. Okay. So that's one thing that we need to understand. Okay. In my case, I'm using this in, I have my Chrome driver in this particular location. In your case, wherever you are putting that, you need to mention that corresponding path. We'll also learn how to avoid this and what is the problem with this approach at the later point of time. But for now, it's good to go with it. Now we have already launched the browser and the URL. Now what we want to do, after launching, I want to do maximizing the window. Okay. Uh, so driver dot manage dot. So if you put a dot, okay, it's very easy. So I have just put, I want to manage my browser, right? So there is a method called manage. Okay. After what you want to manage, okay, I want to manage my window. Okay, what you want to do with your window? I want to do full screen. Okay, I want to do maximize, or I want to set the size of on based on my expectations. Okay, or whatever you want to do. In my case, I want to do maximize. See, very easy, guys. So first I thought, okay, driver, you want to manage something with your browser. Okay, then you can also get the title, you can also do a lot of things, but for now we just try to maximize this. Okay, once this is maximized, I want to do some operation, right? So this is the use case that we took. We need to enter admin here, we need to enter admin here, we want to click on login, and then we want to validate that is invalid credentials. Okay, we want to validate whether this invalid credentials is being displayed or not. Okay, so this is our ultimate goal. So we're going to do that. So first, if I want to interact with this website, I need to understand what is the HTML behind it. Okay, each website will have their HTML. The way this HTML, though this page looks like this, is because they have coded like that. Okay, if you right click anywhere and then click on inspect, okay, this opens a DOM. Okay, this is where the front end developers have written the logic on how this particular page should look. Okay, and whatever you are seeing here, they are all representing some elements. Okay, for example, okay, if I just hover my mouse over something, okay, in the div, it is looking in pink color, right? I'm just hovering my mouse over there, so it's highlighting something in the bottom of the screen. Okay, if you notice, so it will highlight something in the bottom of the screen as well. Okay, and for me, I want to interact with, there are a lot of elements in this page. When I mean elements, this is one element. Okay, this HRM logo is one element, this is one element, this user box is one element, this logo is one element. So all these things are one elements in this web page. So we call it as web elements, because these elements are present in the web page. Okay, so we call it as web element. Okay, now I want to choose this particular, because the element that we are interested is this. So I am just right clicking and click on inspect. So if you notice, this element is having certain property. Okay, let's assume you have a class with full of students. Okay, how will you call them? Right, you either call them by the name, right? So if the students are having good name, you'll call them, right? And they'll always have, in a class they might also have IDs, right? So roll numbers, we have roll numbers. The same way, the elements can also have IDs. So this particular element is now having different properties. It has a name, it has an ID, it also has a type called a text, which means maybe it's a text box, right? So this is how they are defining web elements in this. And it's not mandatory that all these elements should have a name and an ID. Okay, sometimes there can be elements that without having a name or ID. Okay, now if there is a name or ID, we'll just directly use it. Okay, for example, I want to enter some admin here, okay, in the username. So for that, I'm uniquely, so this ID is unique. like in your class of students, you'll have a unique ID, right? Unique roll numbers. Same way, there can be multiple people with the same name. Okay, like you have Akash, you can have multiple Akash as well. So the only way we used to differentiate them with their roll numbers or with the place where they come from, right? So that's how it is. So here also there can be elements with same names. So only thing that might be unique, if then it is ID. Okay, so for now I want to interact with this element, so I'm just choosing ID because that will be unique. So let me copy this and go to this code. So I want to interact with that. So what I want to do, driver. Okay, what I want to do, I want to actually find an element because I want to operate on that, right? So let me find that element. Okay, okay, you want to find this element. How you want to find this element? Okay, I want to find this uh, by ID. Okay, so okay, you want to find an element using ID, but what is the ID? So yeah, the ID value is this. So you help me to find the element using this particular ID. Okay, I have found this now. What do you want to do with this? Basically I want to do some I want to enter admin, right? So I want to send some keys to that text box. So, okay, what is the keys? Keys is basically I want to enter admin, right? So it's as easy as that. So the method names are very easy. So first I want to find an element. So how you want to find the element? Okay, I want to find by using ID. And what is the ID value? Okay, this is the value. And I want to, what you want to do with that? So I want to do some send keys. Okay, as admin. Okay, so this is how easy it is. Now the same way, we also have the password field. Can you inspect that? So if you notice, this password field is also having name, it's also having ID, but it also has autocomplete as off and type equal to password. Autocomplete as off means, in most of the Chrome browsers, okay, if you type it, so this is coming, right? This particular values drop down are coming based on your Chrome, it will come. Okay, this is the behavior of your Chrome. Okay, this might not come in the password field. Okay, use password saved in your Google account. So this already typed passwords will not come because this is a security issue, right? If you are using someone else's machine, you could find their password. So this particular property is actually doing that. Okay, as a manual tester, you might go here and manually test this. But as an automation tester, you don't have to. You can just validate whether this element is having autocomplete as off. And also in the password field, when we type something, it is only displayed in dots, right? Or asterisks. The reason being, the type of this is password, which actually indicates this is a password, and you should not conceal the value what you are typing. Okay, so that's how the whole thing works, right? So you need to understand. Maybe you would have used that at the front end, but what's happening in the back end underneath it, we not know. But we are all learning this now, right? Good. So now we want to, again, we can also use ID, but this time I will also use a name this time. Okay. To understand, we can also use name. Okay. Let's go here. Okay. After entering this, I also want to write one more line of code. What I want to do, I want to again find an element. Okay. And this time I want to find it with the help of name by dot name. So what is the name? This is the name. What do you want to do with it? I also want to do send keys. And what is the password that you want to send? I'll send the admin. This is a wrong password, but yeah, we are good with it. Once this is done, I also want to click on the login button, right? If you notice, the name is login here, but if you notice, the name here is submit. Okay, so it can be changing. Okay, but the ID value is login. So you can either use ID or name or whatever. But for now, I'm using ID because that will be unique. So yeah, by ID. Okay, what is the ID? And the send keys, right? And sorry, I'm not doing any send keys here because I don't want to enter any text. All I want to do is, what do you want to do? You want to make a click, right? So click, that's it. Okay, so this is very simple piece of code. These two lines will launch the browser. very simple, guys. Okay, you can memorize this for now. Okay, this is a very simple piece of code. Don't worry about that. We will come and understand it in detail at the later point of time. For now, just kind of memorize it. Okay, and then this particular line of code is for launching the URL. Launching the URL, and the next line is for maximizing the window. So you can also understand it. I don't have to type it, but yeah, let's try to see whether it is launching and doing all this stuff. Okay, let's go here. So guys, so if you notice, it has done all these things. It also maximized the windows. It was really fast, right? Maybe we could go a little slow. And also, if you notice, we didn't assert or we didn't find what is the text here. Maybe we'll do that next. But yeah, but we'll go step by step. Okay, to go step by step, what you can do, you can set some debug point and then debug us. So it will come and stop at this particular step. Okay, so you notice the browser is launched and then it is waiting for us to go further. Okay, now I will do step over. So this particular one step will be executed. So see, it is executing the step. Okay, once this step is done, now the control is in 18th line. So what you can do, you can just click on step over. So the maximize will happen. So let's see whether the browser is maximized. Yes, it is done. And I'm also doing one more step now where it has to find this particular one and then enter admin. Okay, let's do that. See, it is finding the elements and yeah, admin is entered. Now let's also do one more step over. Password is also entered. Okay, we want to click on button login and yeah, so yeah, so this login button is also clicked. You can also run the program. So the program is now run and you'll get the output. So when a process is finished with the exit code 0, this means it's a success. Okay, good. So this is how you can understand what's happening. Suppose if you are doing some mistake, okay, instead of capital L you have given small l. Okay, let's see what's happening. See, it could not find it, right? And I could see some red lines. So it's telling clearly, okay, hey, there is no such element exception. Okay, which means yesterday we have learned something called as array index out of bound exception. That is coming from Java. This no such element exception is coming from Selenium. Okay, which means there is no such element. Okay, you are trying to operate on some element, but there is no such element. You are doing something wrong. Okay, where this happened? Okay, let me go. And if you see at the bottom, we have something in highlighted here. You click on that. Okay, it'll take you here. Okay, in the 21st line. So there is some problem in this particular line that is causing the issue. Okay, so it could not find this particular element. Okay, if it can only find this element, it can do the click operation. So it will give you clear errors and where this error is. So in this cases, you need to go again, find the DOM, what is the property, and then you need to update accordingly. Okay, okay, this is fine. Any doubts so far with this?
Well, why do we mention by what?
Sorry, I could not hear you.
Yeah, yeah. Why do we say by Mudan for driver dot find element?
Mhm.
By me.
I'll come there. Okay, this find element is a method, by is a class, ID is a method. All these things I'll come now. Okay, but for now, just just read it like a prose. Okay, you are trying to find an element, and how you want to find the element? I want to find by ID, right? It's more like a prose. You just read it like a prose or poem. So that's how it is. So I'll come back. Okay, there are cases we need to understand what is a class, what is an object, all that. We need some time. But for now, just go ahead and start doing this. Okay, just enjoy what Selenium can do. It can open browsers, it can do all these things, right? You can show this magic to everyone. So once you are happy doing all these things, we'll understand that in more detail. After that, we'll come back to Java. We learn the Java basics, and then we'll come and understand what is this happening here, what is happening here, and all that. Okay,
Okay. Under the character sequence, did you type it, or if you type any character, it automatically will come
which
send
one?
in the send keys method.
Send keys
Uh,
and all, you have to type it. Okay, what you
okay,
want to type?
character sequence.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
write
So you have to type like this.
this character sequence? It is saying, right? Did you
No,
write
no, 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 no.
replace?
That is you ignore. That is a feature from IntelliJ that tells. Let's say I have a method called add. So yesterday we created methods, right? So we have method called add yesterday that int a, int b, something like this, which actually do a sort of a plus b, right? It was doing like this. Now, if I try to add, okay, and then I pass 5 and 7. Okay, so if you notice closely, the parameter name here a, right? So this is actually hinted here. Okay, this is just a hint. Okay, that you are actually sending a value as 5, b value as 7. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
here the same way this method is having char sequence as a parameter name. If it is instead of a, if it is amudan, okay, this was changing to amudan. So this is just a hint that we are sending a value for amudan as 5, value for b as 7, right? Got it? So this is
Yes.
just a hint, and you might not see this hint. This is just an add-on. If you want to disable this, you can also disable this. Okay, in IntelliJ we have the features. In Eclipse, if you are using Eclipse, you might not even see this. Okay, so just a hint. Okay,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
good. Yeah, any other doubts? Okay, if there are no more doubts, let's do something more. Okay, what is that? So we want to actually invalid credential. We want to validate whether this text is invalid credentials. Okay, so we want to do that. So see again, guys, sometimes your inspector element will come on the side. At the time, if you want to get it to the bottom of the screen, you can click on the three dots here, dock to the bottom. So there is dock to the bottom symbol. If you click on it, it will be more meaningful for you. Again, do a right click on inspect. Okay, so this invalid credentials is actually here. So this is having a message of span. The ID is span message, and the text value is invalid credentials. Okay. So whatever you see between the greater than symbol and the less than symbol is the text of that particular element. So there is an element called span with ID as span message, and the text value is invalid credentials. The same way, see if you notice the username is now having some text username, but if I type it, it will go away, right? So if we go and inspect this, see this particular username is also having a text as username. So on click, it's getting disabled, right? So this is, if you notice, form hint. Okay, this is a form hint. Okay, if you type, it'll go away. Okay, so that's, you can understand all these things with just a name. These are all simple English. So this is a form hint. Once user understand they have to enter password here, okay, you disappear away. I don't need this because see the style is telling display none. Don't display after click. Okay, you don't have to display anything now. You don't have to display username now. So these things are happening at the back end. Okay, so whatever you see in the greater than symbol and the less than symbol is your text. So as a manual tester, I want to validate whether the invalid credentials is displayed. What I do, I will just see with my naked eyes and then I will validate. But in case of Selenium, you need to get this text. Okay, you need to get the text from the web page and then you need to validate it. Okay, let's do it. So this is an element with an ID of span message. Okay, so now what we have to do, we have to drive a dot. Again, we need to find another element. We need to find another element. How you want to find it? I want to find it by ID. And what is the mess? What is the ID? Once you do this, what do you want to do? You don't want to click on this. Okay, you don't want to enter some values. All you want to do is getting some text from that. Okay, so what there is also a method they have created. So if you notice, this is getting text. So yeah, I want to get the text. Okay, now once you get the text, you can store it in some variable. Okay, say imagine we had already stored string a equal to we would have used like this, right? The same way, this left hand side is a string. Okay, so you can assign it to a variable. The same way, this whole thing will give you back a string. So what you can do, you can also assign this to some other variable. Maybe I can give error message as the name. Okay, so now what you are doing, we are actually getting some text and storing this here. Okay, maybe you can name it error message m in capital letters, so that's it's a convention how people follow to name. Okay, so once you do this, I also want to do the print. Okay, I want to do error message. Okay, so whatever the error message I fetched, I'm just validating. Okay, what is that? Okay, I'm just want to print whether it is fetching it correctly. Okay, let's try to run it again. Every time we open a browser, it's getting opened but it's not getting closed. So this is a browser opened by Selenium, but it's not closing automatically. So what you can do, you can also mention driver dot close. Okay, so that it will also close the browser also. Okay, so yeah, let's see what's happening. See, it is also printing the invalid credential. Okay, you can do a lot of validation. Okay, so how you want to do the validation? Okay, I don't want to use JUnit or testng test now for now, but what you can do, I want to print a pass. Okay, if the error message whatever I got is basically mm, in equal to this, then I want to do if. Okay, we already know how to use if condition, right? We already did if a equal to 5, do this, right? The same way, if error message, okay, you don't have to use equal to, because that is for numbers. You can compare equals of a number, you can compare with equal to, but for string there is something called as equals. Okay, okay, you compare whatever you got with the expected value of this. If this is whatever you fetched from the website is equal to this expected value, and then you print a test is passed, else uh, test is failed. Okay, let's try to run it again, guys. This is not a good way to validate, but for now we are just getting started. We'll understand a good approach later. So if you notice, the test is passed. Suppose I'm expecting it to have, let's say, invalid credential. Okay, this time it should print test is failed. I know I'm going little slow, but all I want to make sure is you guys understood and follow me correctly. So the basics are really important. So now the test is failed. Very good. Now, once the test is failed, we can also, let's say if you change the C to capital C, what happens? So anyway, this time also it will fail because we are expecting small c. So we are expecting capital C, but in the message it will be small c. So you don't want to do all these comparisons. Okay, even if it is small letters or capital letters, you want to pass all the time. Okay, in those cases, instead of equals, you just replace with equals ignore case. Okay, equal ignore case means you ignore the cases. Cases means uppercase, lowercase, capital letters, small letters. You ignore all those things. When you are comparing it, when you are comparing this with this value, you ignore the past, capital letter, small letter. So that's how the method says. Okay, now, so this should pass. Okay, so if you want to compare without using, capital letter or bothering about capital letters or small letters, you can use equals ignore case. Okay, yeah, so that's how it is. And tomorrow you also want to just check Okay, sometimes the error message is invalid credentials, sometimes the error message is invalid password, sometimes it will tell invalid username. Okay, but in those cases what you want to validate is whether you want to validate whether invalid is there. You're not bothered about the last thing. Okay, whether it is credentials, username, invalid password, you don't have to bother. All you want to validate whether it is starting with invalid or it is having an invalid. Okay, good. So to do that, instead of equals ignore case, I want to validate whether it contains, okay, invalid. Okay, so this way you are just checking whether this error message is having some word called as invalid. This time it will fail because this is capital letters, so I will type it. Okay, let's try to run the test. So this contains is okay, but sometimes if it is printing credentials invalid, okay, credentials invalid. Okay, if it is printing like this, then also it is wrong. So I want to make sure that the error message is starting with invalid. Okay, I don't want to check whether it is containing invalid. I want to check whether this is starting with invalid. Okay, so I want to check whether the error message is starting with invalid. Okay, so yeah, I'm actually covering strings here, guys. Okay, see, you do not even know that I'm teaching you string topics. Okay, so that's how we are going. Okay, we are learning Selenium. In the meantime, we are also learning Java as well. Okay, so the test is getting passed. So yeah, so we have learned something new today. One is we have learned about starts with. Okay, we also learned equals. Okay, we also learned equals, ignore, case. We also learned contains, right? So yeah, so these things we have learned today, and we also learned, yeah, equals also is put. Okay, so yeah, we have learned all these things. Okay, I think I'm done for the day. I know I'm going slow, but I all I want to make sure is you guys understanding it. Tomorrow we'll have very important topics, so don't miss out. We'll learn about XPaths, how we can write XPaths and all the stuff. Why we need XPath and all that. Okay, so yeah, so practice till here. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Otherwise, we'll leave for the day.
Hi, Amital.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, I actually missed one session. So, is the installation process of Selenium is already done?
Instead, you don't have to do any installation. Today, what I did was I basically downloaded this. Okay, I downloaded this jar file. Okay, once you download this, you just need to go to the project and add it. Okay. Did you join the today's session from the start at 7 a.m.?
No, 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 no.
No, right?
I
Today,
missed a little part of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So today only I have covered it. So just go through today's video. You'll understand what it is.
Sure.
You don't
Okay,
need any
thank you.
installation. Yeah.
Sure, thanks.
Yeah. So anything from anyone else? Okay. Let me stop the recording.